If my heart says I'm building this business to make a really great impact on the industry I'm in, but also to create an environment where people feel valued, where I can pay them well, where they can develop, they can grow, we can do good work, which continues to build the business, which allows me to do more of that for them, then I cannot allow myself to truly be in the bowels of the business all the time. Welcome to this week's episode of the Rutledge Perspective podcast. And this week, we're going to talk about accessibility and how we go from leadership and being accessible, right? And redefining that when you get into a leadership role, including open door policies and all of that kind of thing. So if you think about how you've moved up through an organization, one of the things, especially new leaders do is anytime you need me, just get on my calendar. No worries, just schedule a meeting with me, or I have an open door policy, just drop by. That sounds really, really great. And you probably actually really mean it. But here's the thing. The further you go up in an organization, the less accessible you need to be. Why? Not because you don't care about your people, but as you begin to move up in the organization, the expectations and the lane in which you operate is different. And that doesn't mean people don't have access to you at all. It just means you get much more mindful and much more critically discerning about how you use your time and with whom you use your time. This is particularly difficult for business owners who are moving from founders to CEO. It's one of the things I work with my clients on, which is when you found a business, right? You've got that first couple of people, you guys have bootstrapped it, for lack of a better word. You've really gotten together and made it happen. Yes, it's your vision and it's your mission, it's the things you want to do, but you've got these core group of people who are really there with you from the beginning. And now you're 5 years in, you're 10 years in, you're 25 years in. You've got a team of 10 or 60 or 80. And you created this culture where people can get to you. If they need something, they go to you. Yes, they have managers or they have directors, but if they really have something they want to talk about, they can just go directly to you. That sounds really good. I want to create that family environment. But here's the challenge. If you are and remain 100% accessible to everybody all the time, what is your executive team doing? And what are you doing to move your organization forward? As you move from founder to CEO, there are new requirements on your time. You've got to think much more often about the strategy. Where are you going? Is it time to start looking at funding? Is it time to start looking at partnerships? Are there new business lines we want to develop? Is there innovation in our current product that needs to be happening? How can I get my executive team to where they're actually running the day-to-day of the business? Right? If you're moving from founder to CEO, if you're moving from first line manager to senior executive, you're not running the day-to-day business anymore. You theoretically have people that you've hired who do that for you. They're in the details of the business because you are in the strategy of the business. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? And then how do we need to organize ourselves in order to make that achievable and to achieve it in a way that is aligned with our overall goals and objectives? And that comes down to accessibility. And what I often hear is this real gut response to, oh, everybody wants to meet with me and I just don't have time. I feel so bad because I just don't have time for people anymore. I just don't know how I'm going to do all the things I need to do, but everybody needs me. That everybody needs me is not a badge of honor. I want you to reframe that. That everybody needs me means, have you taken the time to really set people up to be self-sufficient? Have you set up parameters, those guardrails that say, here's the direction, you know where we're going. I am relying on you and your expertise to execute aligned with the vision, mission, and goals. I'm counting on you and your expertise and your knowledge of how we operate and how I like to lead and how I believe in you to let me know if there's an issue, to give me early warning and to not let me be surprised. I am counting on you to ensure that we have regularly scheduled time as an executive team to be sure we're all on the same page, that we have open lines of communication so that we are clear on the strategy, and therefore we can be clear with our people. I'm also counting on you as an executive team to be my voice, to be my eyes, to be my ears, for you to be the direct contact to your next level and for them to be the direct contact to their next level. Yes, we're going to be visible and I'm going to be visible. And if someone absolutely needs me, of course, we will find a way to make time. But I no longer have the freedom to just have my door completely open to everyone all the time, to know all the details of what's going on in everyone's life all the time. Because if my heart says I'm building this business to make a really great impact on the industry I'm in, but also to create an environment where people feel valued, where I can pay them well, where they can develop, they can grow, we can do good work, which continues to build the business, which allows me to do more of that for them, then I cannot allow myself to truly be in the bowels of the business all the time, including in the day-to-day operations of the people stuff. And if I'm really honest, if I'm that deeply involved and that deep into the business, I will never be able to have what I have envisioned for my life because I will be so tied to this business, I won't have time to spend time with my own family, to do the things I want to do to move myself forward that give me joy, because I have not given the opportunity and been clear and kind and supportive to all of you that are the executives and the folks that report to the executives and the reports that report to them. I've not given anyone the freedom to build their own skills and to develop their own opportunities to move and grow and learn and build. I am not creating a going concern. I'm creating something that ends with me. Now, if you're an executive and you're having that conversation with yourself and you're okay with it ending with you, keep doing you. Keep being available to everybody all the time. But if you are someone who is building something for legacy, for lifetime, something that you want to have an impact long after you're gone, go back and reevaluate. How accessible are you continuing to be to people? And why? Is that about ego? You really want to be known as the CEO who's constantly accessible. That's ego. Are you making sure you're accessible to everybody because you don't trust your folks to be able to keep you informed when it's a real issue? Because as CEO, you don't need to know all of the details of the day-to-day. You honestly do not. What you need to know is that your vision, your expectations are clear, and that you got people around you who can execute on those. That's what you need to know. And how do you set things in place that enable you to have early notification if that's not the case? So this week, I want you to reframe what accessibility means as you begin to be a leader, as you're moving from founder to CEO in particular. What does that look like when you are now leading a global, multi-billion-dollar, tens of thousands of people organization? Or even if you're leading your local candle shop that is employing 20 people who you're helping to create their own legacy. What are you really trying to do? What impact are you really trying to make? And what does accessibility mean in order to support that ultimate goal that you have? I want you to think about that and think deeply and give yourself some grace. By pulling back on your accessibility ability, it doesn't mean that you're mean. It doesn't mean that you no longer care. What it means is that you have trust. You have trust in your people. You have trust in your ability to set really clear expectations and to build people up and to support them in their accessibility journey. It means that you are ready to move forward and to really lead your organization in the way you want it to go. That's what new accessibility means when you move from founder to CEO, or from manager to leader, from executive to senior executive. Accessibility changes, and it has nothing to do with your character or your care or your concern for your people, but everything to do with all of that. It just looks a little bit different. If this makes sense to you, if you know somebody who's moving from CEO to founder or is moving into that senior executive ranks and they are still trying to be everything to all people, send them this podcast. Have them pause and think. Be their sounding board about some tactics they could potentially use to really change their accessibility, to think differently about what that means. Or better yet, have them reach out to me. Go onto my website, laurelrutledge.com, send me a note. Would love to be of service to you as you're moving into that next step to help you get settled in your mind that you can still make an incredible impact. You can still support your people. You can still build up your successor while managing what accessibility means for you so that you have the time, the energy, the money to do the things that support the goals you're trying to achieve. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rutledge Perspective Podcast. As always, I appreciate every download, every listen, every share. If there's something else you'd like me to talk about or a point that you have, send me a note, send me a DM, and go out on your favorite platform and give us a 5-star review because that helps us get to more and more people. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next week. Bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective Podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.